Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Ohio State University's presentation on how to create a leaderful organization, Crisis Edition. Obviously, a lot has changed since we signed up to make this presentation back in February. And as Michelle Carlson pointed out in her weekly reflection, we've essentially been dropped into a live action apprenticeship in how to lead through change. So what we want to cover today in our presentation is we're going to talk about the starfish model of leadership. And that is based on a book called The Starfish and the Spider, The Unstoppable Power of Leaderless Organizations by Ori Brofman and Rod Beckstrom. We'll make sure to share a link to the book after the presentation. After that, we're going to highlight a few stories of where we have each seen leadership, great leadership in action throughout this crisis. So I'm going to start by handing the mic to Will and let him talk to you about what the starfish model of leadership is. Here you go, Will.
Thanks, Ava. In the book, organizations with traditional top-down leadership are compared to spiders. Remove the head of a spider, it's likely game over. Decentralized or leaderful organizations are compared to starfish. See, starfish don't have heads to remove. Instead, major organs are replicated across 5 distinct legs. When you remove one leg, another one grows in its place, or the removed leg turns into a brand new starfish altogether. So as we summarize each leg, remember that these are characteristics that are commonly found across impactful, leaderful organizations. Each organization, however, must maintain its own leaderful balance. So with that overview, I'm going to pitch it to Andy to talk about our first leg. Take it away, Andy.
Thanks, Will. The first leg on the starfish is the concept of circles. Now, this is a community of people that have bought into a certain ideology and abide by a set of norms that are agreed upon by members within the circle. Some factors to consider are that until the internet age, circles were confined to a physical location. Now that teleworking is promoted, and in some cases mandatory, virtual communities give members that freedom and flexibility. On the flip side of that, having everyone in close physical proximity often fosters trust and accountability. One of the attractive things about circles is that they are not governed by rules made by someone outside the circle, but rather by norms created together by members of the circle. While staying in line with the overall mission of their ideology, this approach gives members a sense of ownership, and by embracing the norms, builds trust between members. Now I'd like to pass it off to Ashley to explain the ideology leg of the starfish.
Thanks, Andy. The next leg of the starfish is ideology. This is the why that unites everyone in the organization, no matter their role. At Ohio State, our why is to serve the state of Ohio's college students and the rest of the community with outreach and educational opportunities as the land-grant institution in our state. It doesn't matter if I'm faculty, an administrator, a developer, or a security officer. This is the broad mission and ideology that unites our efforts. So right now we have another great example of a uniting ideology in our shared efforts to flatten the curve. It's important that we all believe this needs to happen. Once we do, we're much more willing to accept measures put in place in service of that goal, like social distancing, stay at home, things like that. So ideology is the glue that's required to hold a decentralized organization like an entire state or country together during a crisis. And on a much smaller scale, it's what can help all kinds of leaders hold a diverse and decentralized team together.
Thank you, Ashley. The pre-existing network is the fourth leg of the starfish network. The authors highlight that almost every successful decentralized organization emerged from a pre-existing platform, leveraging common circles and a common ideology. Centralized organizations are not typically suitable platforms as they are not designed to promote decentralized movements and do not have that informal social network ideal for incubating new, innovative ideas. By leveraging pre-existing networks, organizations develop strong relationships and expand their influence. Without pre-existing networks, organizations would operate more like an internet startup without any customers. You might have a fantastic product, but without pre-existing networks, you'll struggle to sell and distribute that product. Relationship practices are important, as you do not automatically gain entrance to these pre-existing networks. And emotional intelligence concepts are equally important to help expand those networks. With that, I'll hand off back to Will, and he'll speak about the remaining legs of the starfish.
Thanks, Jeff. Catalysts and champions make up the two remaining legs. Catalysts bring innovation to circles with charisma and then fade into the background, empowering and connecting others so that talents are used freely for greater overall impact. Now, champions are more like natural salespeople. They're known for sharing the ideology across pre-existing networks and really with the masses, which helps form new circles and establish global level influence. Okay, so now that you have a high level understanding of the 5 legs, Jason is going to share some specific examples that we've seen in our state during the COVID-19 pandemic. Take it away, Jason.
Thanks, Will. We're fortunate to have an amazing leader during this crisis in the state of Ohio. Her name is Dr. Acton, and she's the Director of Health for the state of Ohio. She's a relative unknown a few weeks ago, but has become an absolute rock star and an inspiring leader throughout this crisis. So much so that a local t-shirt company is making shirts inspired by her, and she has a massive online fan club. Dr. Acton demonstrates the ideology that Ashley mentioned. It's clear through her daily press conferences and Q&A sessions with the governor and the press that there's a shared ideology of honesty and integrity through open communication, as well as a reliance on experts to provide calm and clear information. In the starfish model, Dr. Acton is the champion. She naturally and immediately connects to people through her vast knowledge, obvious hard work, and empathy. She's relentless in working with health organizations and researchers across the state and the country, and is passionate and dedicated. She's also a faculty member in the College of Public Health. Go Bucks. Take it away, John.
Thanks, John, and hi, everybody. Coming to you from my home office here in my bedroom. One of the best examples of a leaderful organization at work that I experienced during this crisis comes from Ben Hancock, who is a MOR alum. He's the director of the web and mobile team here at The Ohio State University. Well, university and OCIO leadership were hard at work making the best decisions for the university in this time of crisis. And before any remote work decisions were made or guidelines were presented, Ben published a LinkedIn article titled Our Remote Work Guidelines on March 12th. He shared those guidelines at the same time with managers and leaders across our organization, offering them as a tool or a template to do remote work successfully. He scanned the environment, he saw what was coming, and he took action. The article touches on topics of team, like meetings, communication, work hours, team behaviors. It touches on who to contact if there are questions or concerns, or if additional hardware or software was needed in the home office. It explains common pitfalls of remote work and how to avoid those, as well as offers managers strategies on how to do remote work successfully. The information was provided when people needed it most and was so well done that the official guidelines OCIO ended up sharing drew very much from what Ben had created. Ben is not our CIO and he is not our deputy CIO. He does not report to either of those people. He's a few rungs down on our org chart. But because of the values our organization adheres to, respect, innovation, partnership, and trust, he knew he would have the support of our leaders when he decided to create and publish these guidelines. Here's Lonnie for another Leaderful example.
Thank you. So we've talked about government, we've talked about universities. I want to talk a little bit about a commercial retailer named HEB. HEB is based out of Texas. There was an awesome article about them talking about how they prepared and planned for an event like this. They started their planning actually in 2009 with the swine flu epidemic. And while that didn't get as bad, they used those lessons to extend how they would prepare and respond to an event. So one of the things that they talked about in the article was HEB was responsible for motivating and mobilizing their entire workforce, from the distributors to the warehouses to the stores. They had corporate executives and corporate people working cash registers. They had warehouses set up to do distribution. For example, beer distributors were distributing eggs, and people were moving outside of their lane to make things happen. So in my mind, this is a really good example of leg number 4, which is pre-existing network in a Leaderful organization. So that's my example. Tossing it back over to Ava. Here you go.
Thank you, Lonnie. As you can see through the starfish model and its 5 legs, having a decentralized organization can make it more flexible and help it stay strong in varying circumstances. Being in the MOR leadership program has made us more aware of leadership in action, and we shared just a few stories where we have seen that the past few weeks. We're interested to hear your thoughts on the starfish model and also to hear your stories of great leadership throughout this crisis. We are all figuring things out as we go, and it's really important for us to have our eyes open and see what types of actions are going to help us move forward and get past all of this. So thank you for listening to our presentation. We wish you much growth through this challenging time, and please do all you can to stay happy and healthy. Thank you.